Today we're going to make roasted vegetable and black bean tacos. So we're going to start by cutting this summer squash here. Now of course we'll cut off the ends first, and then as you can see written on the bottom, we're going to cut it into slabs. So cutting your vegetables into slabs and then sticks and then cubes ensures that you'll get really evenly sized pieces of vegetables, which means that they'll cook really evenly, which makes a huge difference in the finished product. So as you can see here, we are cutting our summer squash into 4 evenly sized slabs. And after that, we'll make the sticks and then the cubes. Now for this part, you really have a lot of choices as far as how big or small you want your pieces to be. Because these are going into a taco, we want them to be pretty small. So on each of these halves of the summer squash, we're going to make 4 sticks. And now finally, to get the cubes for the summer squash, we're just going to go right down with the knife, making sure we're making even cuts. And we ended up with a pretty small dice, but you can see how even that is. So up next for our green pepper, obviously it's going to look very different from the outset, but really we're still going to end up getting those slabs, sticks, and cubes. You can see how I'm running the knife kind of around the outside of the pepper so that we're going to end up with 4 semi-equally sized slabs, and the inner core is just cut away automatically, which is really convenient. So now I have my slab and I'm going to go ahead and cut it into sticks. And even though a pepper is obviously a really differently shaped vegetable compared to a summer squash, you can see how the process looks really similar. You start with the slab, you cut it into sticks, and then once you cut them into cubes, everything is pretty much the same size. So again, it'll cook pretty evenly. Chopping an onion does look a little bit different, but we'll show you a foolproof way to get it done evenly. First, cut off one end of your onion, then cut it in half. And what you're going to do now is take your knife and make small slits almost from the one end of the onion all the way through to the end that you cut off. So the whole onion stays together in one piece, which means that it's easier to keep going with these cuts. You can see how each one is pretty even in size, and I think you can guess what we're going to do next. Now that that's done, you can see that the next part is to just dice the onion. This one last step gives you a perfectly sized dice. Just make sure you keep your fingers out of the way there. Sometimes the outer edge of the onion can be really slippery, but if anything, you can always take it off like you're seeing right now, and you'll still have plenty of onion to work with. Now the last vegetable we're going to show how to cut is the tomato. So because the tomato has such a high water content, it shrinks up a lot while it's cooking, so you can actually leave it in slightly bigger pieces and it'll still look even once they're cooked. Now we didn't show you how to chop the other vegetables because they're pretty similar to the ones we did show you. So we're going to jump ahead to adding our oil and spices. You don't need a ton of oil for this. 2 tablespoons is absolutely plenty. You definitely don't want to drown your vegetables in oil. And in a minute, when you see me adding the cumin here, you'll be able to see that since I really like the taste of cumin, I decided to go a little bit above what the recipe suggested, which was 1 teaspoon. When you're adding spices to something like this, you can really let your preferences lead the way. And look at how good this looks. Everything is chopped so evenly. It's so colorful and beautiful, and you can just tell that it's going to taste so good. The only thing left is to cook it. So we put that mixture in the oven for about 20 minutes, and then it's time to take it out and add our black beans, lime juice, and then that's it. The filling is done. This was such an easy recipe. It didn't take that long at all, and it was so good, so filling, and obviously very nutritious. All that's left after that is to build your taco with whatever toppings you like to use. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned something and you enjoyed our video.